Greetings, fanboys and fangirls. Jared here with another review from Fanboys Forever. Today we're going to be having a look at the second item in the Masters of the Universe Revelation line that we've looked at. And these, of course, are based on the brand new Kevin Smith series. It's going to be on Netflix, Masters of the Universe Revelation. This is from the Masterverse series of figures, which are intended more for the adult collector. Today we're going to be having a look at Battle Cat. Before I get started, I just want to let you know that I did not have this sent to me by Mattel. It was purchased with my own money, and it was purchased from Target.com. So let's go ahead and get started by looking at the packaging. You can see first off that we have just a large window box. You can see Battle Cat just resting inside. You can see all the cool sculpting and paintwork. Down here we have the Masters Universe Revelation title, where it says Battle Cat. You can see just kind of the cracked stone work. It is deluxe in detail, sculpt, and articulation. You can see the Netflix logo. And up here we have kind of the odd top of these packages. And it just says Masterverse, and there's the strange placement of the UPC code with all sorts of hidden images for eagle-eyed Masters of the Universe fans to check out. If we turn the box to the side, we can see a really cool painting of Battle Cat. On the other side, it just says Battle Cat. And on the back, we get this beautiful, full-sized piece of artwork with He-Man riding Battle Cat. I really wish that the actual figure in the Masterverse line actually looked like this He-Man. Battle Cat looks like this, but the He-Man doesn't. Here we just have a little bio, and you can remove the mask for Cringer. And naturally at the bottom you have all your copyright info and this UPC if it helps anyone out. Let's go ahead and get Battle Cat out of the box. Alright, and here we have the mighty Battle Cat right out of the packaging. And I'll go ahead and say that I think the silhouette of the figure is actually quite nice. It's very large. It's definitely the largest Battle Cat that we have gotten so far, and it's just massive. So just to give you an idea of scale, because I feel that's important before we go on to really anything else about the figure. Here we have a Masters of the Universe Origins figure, and you can see this Battle Cat is so massive that it isn't even quite right scale-wise. And if I try to put Origins He-Man on Battle Cat, you can see that he is pretty much dwarfed. I kind of like the look of this, though. I have always preferred Battle Cat to appear larger rather than smaller. Of course, it is fun to take my personal favorite Masters line, Masters Universe Classics, and see how that looks on Battle Cat. Now, this is larger than the Masters Universe Classics version, and however, I do think that it looks pretty nice with Classic He-Man here. So I actually think that this is a pretty good scale, and if you stand him side by side with Battle Cat, it also looks nice this way. I don't think stylistically he goes with it quite as well as the Classics version, but I still think it looks pretty good like this. One thing that I do think works really well that I've seen online, and I also just think from a scale perspective, it's just about right. It's taking the 1987 Dolph Lundgren movie-styled Masters Universe Classics He-Man and putting it on this new Battle Cat. Battle Cat, of course, did not appear in the film for budgetary constraints, but I feel that if he did, even though he wouldn't be as cartoony looking, or as stylized, I suppose is the right word here, I do feel that this is the correct scale. Since this Classics figure is larger than other He-Man action figures that we got in the line, I do feel that because Battle Cat is larger, that this seems to work very well, scale-wise. Now we have a pretty good idea of the size of Battle Cat. Let's go ahead and look at the details on the figure. I really enjoy this fur sculpting, and we'll be able to see a lot more of it when we have him revert back to Cringer mode here in a minute. I like all the slopes and all the line details that are on the saddle. I think those are really good. I really do like that we have kind of some horns, kind of claws coming out the front of it. We also have a really nice Battle Cat head right here, and I really do think the mask is good. I think the sculpting is a little off track here where the two sides are joined. You can see the ridges don't quite meet just right. I think the eyes look good. They kind of remind me of Filmation a little bit, actually. On the other side, you can see all that nice fur sculpting continues. Saddle still looks good. You can see the tail has a lot of nice sculpting as well. Just from the bottom here, you can see all the fur. Even the pads on Battle Cat's paws look really good as well. So overall, I think that visually, it's very, very nice looking, and from everything that I've seen from Revelation at the time recording it is not out yet, it does appear to be very accurate. I also like the proportions of this figure much more than, say, the He-Man figure from Revelation from the pictures that I'm seeing so far. Of course, this is the only other Revelation figure I have currently, and that is the Skelegod action figure. In my original review, it's worth pointing out, I might as well now, that he had two of the same thigh pieces, so I didn't realize it. Someone pointed out in the comments. Target was nice enough to send me a new one that has the corrected thighs there. I think it's a really cool match. Now that we've looked at some of the details, I think it would be a good idea to look at some of the articulation as well. It'll be much easier, though, if we go ahead and remove the armor from Battlecat and bring him back down to being Cringer. Here we can see from removing the helmet, you get this really cool face sculpt, and it's just Cringer as we remember him. I think this is very accurate to the Filmation look. And then removing the saddle is fairly simple. All we have to do is take these buckles, and these just very easily remove. And once that's gone, now you're just into standard Cringer mode. It is kind of funny that the helmet has the eyes in it for Battlecat, and I think it's just kind of funny to see the helmet laying there with the eyes. I really do like the colors here, and he really does have so much great articulation that you really can't even see until you get the saddle off. As you can see, you have this wonderful kind of tilt motion, and you can see there's 3 main pieces to the torso. Now, that means that you can kind of snake the body around, snake the torso around like this. It means you can snake it upwards as well, and I think that is terrific. You can also arch it slightly down, but it does appear that the back arches way more than the front. So you can get that. You can also see that you can twist this portion around to get some kind of unnatural movements. Same here. And you can kind of line up the stripes on Battlecat, or Cringer in this case, to look as good as you want it to. You can see from the bottom how it works as well. It's just very pleasing. It's not loose as it goes around. The tail is actually on a hinge and a swivel. So you can hinge it up, hinge it down, and swivel it all the way around. And here at the legs, you can see that they have the ability to come out and go back in. So they're on some kind of ball joint on the inside. You can see that they're able to go pretty much all the way around. They're stopped a little bit by the sculpting up here. Same for these back legs. You can also see that we have knee joints right here, and they work pretty well. They're just single joints, and they swivel as well. Same for the front. You can see they swivel, and there it works just like that. Same for the paws. Each paw is on a hinge, and it swivels as well. Same for the ones on the back. We do get an extra joint back here on the upper part of the leg, so that's nice as well. Speaking of the paws and the claws, they look really good. I'm glad to see the black paint application. The neck is able to hinge upwards, and it hinges down. Then we also have the head on what appears to be more of a ball joint, I believe, and it can go all the way around. That means you can also get a side-to-side movement that works very well. And of course, the head can rotate all the way around if you so wish. Of course, the mouth is able to hinge open and close. If you work at it, you can get some really epic poses. Now, balancing them might be easier said than done, though. But as long as you had a good stand, I think you'd be able to get Battlecat or Cringer here doing some really cool stuff. Now that we have Battlecat armored back up, we can go ahead and look at some of the paint application. Now, this is the part of the figure where there's really not much of it going on. Many of the details that some may consider paint are actually just tampographic applications, like the eyes up here, and mine turned out fairly evenly, although they're not perfect. Down at the mouth, we can see that if we pull the mask up a little bit, that not everything is exactly right. You can see there's a little bit of inconsistency with the paint there, right under one of the nostrils. But that kind of thing is expected in kind of a cheaper mass market toy. What's disappointing is up here on the saddle, you can see the darker burgundy part kind of has a weird inconsistency, and it isn't quite flush with the rest of the design. So that is a little odd. One thing that I found to be the case with every single sample I saw was that there was parts of the fur that didn't quite get the orange paint hit right here. You'll see that as a consistent thing all throughout these orange stripes. So it's almost like the sculpting was a little too deep for that paint to penetrate. Other than that though, there really isn't any kind of deal breaker when it comes to paint. Everything is kind of as you would expect it to be for a mass market toy. Speaking of mass market pricing, this figure is a fairly good bargain in my opinion. It is $30. Now this is a very large beast, and for it to have the kind of weight and presence that it does, I think that's actually a pretty good deal. I don't currently have easy access to all of my Battlecats, but the one that I had the closest around was my Masters of the Universe Classics version. You can see with the brand new Battlecat and Classics on the side over here that clearly this is much more inspired by the original toy This appears to be more inspired by the Filmation cartoon. Now, if we turn it to the side here, though, there is quite a bit of size difference. If we zoom way out, we can see that this guy is both taller and longer. And over here, the Classics version is quite a bit shorter, both in length and in height. It's also worth pointing out that there's quite a bit of color discrepancy, way more than I had originally had in my head. So this is a much more lime green to match more of the Filmation cartoon and of course the Revelation series itself. And this is of course much darker to match the original toy. For comparison's sake, we'll go ahead and put He-Man here so you can see how these sizes match up. In the end, I do consider Battle Cat to be a very successful release from this Revelations line. I do think that it definitely works as an imposing beast and looks very good. Some of the biggest concerns are of course the paint applications all throughout the figure and some of those inconsistencies. You wouldn't mistake this for a truly premium item, but it does look good enough. Overall, I would say that Battle Cat here is fairly detailed and very largely sized, meaning that he is a pretty good value for the $30 that you pay. However, I would not place him above the Masters Universe Classics version of the character. That version just had much more intricate detailing, better sculpting, and is more in line with what I see, or what I imagine when I think of Battle Cat. But that doesn't mean you should ignore this one. If you were never able to get a hold of that old Masters Universe Classics release, this would make a fine version. However, I do have to wonder that after Masters of the Universe Revelation the series is over, will this get re-released with maybe a slightly remolded set of armor? In that case, you might say that it could be used as the base body for more of a 2.0 of the Masters of the Universe Classics release, and I do think that would be very exciting. Although very hard to demonstrate here, you can see that just by putting on the Classics version of the helmet, it does almost work. And it gives you kind of a tantalizing idea of what something like that may be. But until then, I suppose I'll keep dreaming. Overall, it's a good release that I think the success and longevity of will greatly depend on how fans respond to the new Masters Universe Revelation series. Alright friends, that'll be it for me. Of course, make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss all the other great Masters of the Universe reviews that we have coming up. And of course, we'll be covering all the new info and reveals about the series, as well as anything else Masters of the Universe related. Until next time, everybody take care, God bless you and yours, and I'll see you on Fanboys Forever. Take care.
Hold on to your butts.